want, this is your event, so I want you guys to kind of lead it. But if you, want me to chime in or go through the questions that you gave me, I'm happy to do that too. So.
Can we start with maybe just everybody saying their name and their degree / job title, and then if you've been in grad school, maybe where you went to school, why you chose your degree.
All right, I'll start. My name is Mike Jones. I'm a first-year graduate student in clinical psychology. I'm going for my PsyD, and I'm at California School of Professional Psychology, or Alliant, depending on which name you want to call it. Before this, I went to UC Santa Cruz and got my bachelor's in psychology there. And right now, I'm actually a trainee doing my practicum, first-year practicum at the Counseling and Psychological Services Center at USF. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
And I'm Blair Davis. I'm a fifth and final year PsyD student at the California Institute of Integral Studies. And I'm also working at the Counseling Center here as a pre-doctoral intern. And I'm graduating this year. And I did not get my undergraduate degree in psychology. It was in communications. And I worked for a long time between undergrad and grad school and changed careers. So I did actually a BA and a master's degree in communications on the East Coast. And then about 6 years ago, I decided to go back to school for psychology.
And I'm Renee Burrell. I'm a career counselor here. I got my master's of science in counseling with a college counseling emphasis at San Francisco State. I've been here 2.5 years professionally, but I did my internship here 3 years ago. And then before that, I was a teacher. I worked in property management. And before that, I went to UCLA, got my BA in sociology. And so kind of eventually made my way into what I really wanted to do, but I had a few career changes along the way.
Why don't we start with a very basic question. So if I want to apply to grad school, what do I need to have taken care of before I get started applying?
In terms of materials and preparation. Well, I'll kind of give it to you guys to talk about your preparation, and then I'll answer from a more logistical standpoint.
Yeah, well, it somewhat depends on the type of degree that you want to get. For me, with a doctoral degree and not having a BA in psychology, I had to do some prerequisite courses before I could apply. So I think I had to take 6, and of course I applied to 3 or 4 different schools, and they each had different prerequisites. So I ended up taking 6 classes to prepare to apply, and then I had to take GRE, and I think most, if not all schools require that, but maybe some don't require that anymore. And other than that, because I hadn't been a psychology undergrad and I didn't have any experience working in the field of psychology, I did some volunteer work at Ray Potland, partly to get the experience and see what it was like, and partly because I knew that my experience wasn't in psychology and that it might help me to have some counseling experience on my resume. And other than that, the standard applications, each school having their own specific ones. But most of them involve some kinds of essays and transcripts from undergrad and things like that.
Yeah, so the application process was not too long ago for me, so I remember that. Since I was a psychology undergrad, it was a little bit more seamless for me. I didn't end up having to take 6 classes before I applied, so that was nice. But, the kind of rule of thumb, of course, every application has its own thing, but the rule of thumb was sort of 3 letters of recommendation, the actual application, 2 essays, transcripts, and most schools require, well, pretty much all schools require the general GRE and then the subject GRE in psychology. So just getting all that together was pretty much my experience. I would encourage all of you, if you're interested in applying, to let the faculty know really, really, really I actually had a faculty member 3 months before say he was too busy and couldn't write my letter after he guaranteed he would write me one. So, you know, stuff like that happens, and that's completely out of your hands. So, you know, planning way in advance and having that, you know, extra time really helped me a lot, and I would recommend that to anyone.
Yeah, and then for me, you know, I've been out of school for 20 years. So I had to go back to some undergraduate teachers I had 20 years ago, and luckily they still remembered me. And, you know, go back and get letters. And then I luckily had more recent experience with my master's in communications, but it was, you know, thinking about who would know me in a way that they could write something that would be relevant, you know, to the psychology grad program.
Good question.
Yeah, sorry, I was just wondering, so the letters of rec, do you know if they are only from professors, or can they be from like volunteer managers or supervisors?
Yeah, that's a good.
I think one of mine was from the director of the rape hotline where I volunteered, and I think my other two were professors.
Usually they leave it open and they say they want professional references, and that can include your teachers or your professors or a supervisor at either volunteer experience, internship experience, or paid experience. I think it's good to show variety, you know, maybe someone that can speak to your academic strengths, but also your ability to work and some of the skills that you acquired when you were either interning or volunteering. I think the only thing I would add is you guys did a pretty good job of covering all the requirements usually for applications is to stay really, really organized, because each school is different. So you want to be clear on what if they need 2 letters of rec or 3 letters of rec. Maybe creating yourself, whatever you do in school to stay organized, but for me it was creating a spreadsheet and kind of having columns, you know, how many letters of recommendation, is the GRE required, is there 2 places that I need to apply. So for my counseling program, I needed to apply to the graduate school division and the counseling program itself. I think just getting prepared early with your personal statement and having a few people take a look at it and making sure that you have something to talk about that's relevant and shows them, yeah, I have kind of explored this area and this is why I want to apply and, you know, further my experience or further my education. If you're going straight from undergrad, then you can kind of lean on your degree if it's relevant. If your degree is not relevant, then obviously you want to try to acquire some sort of volunteer internship experience, something that you can mention in your personal statement that shows, you know, I've explored this area and I make a good candidate.
And something else I forgot to mention is my school requires an interview, and I think that varies by school. The year that I applied, they allowed us to do a videotaped interview, which was nice because I lived on the East Coast, but I think now it has to be in person, so that's another consideration. You're looking at schools across the country, so, you know, some of them require interviews and some don't.
I've got a question. I guess that for each of you, you mentioned Ms. Davis, Ms. Davis, that you worked for a number of years. Is it more average to work between graduate school in psychology, between undergrad and graduate school, or you know, recommended? What are your takes on that?
Well, I just took a year off and I ended up just working to save money. So I didn't do anything with anything very psychological. I volunteered a little bit. I think that, you know, unless, if you have like solid experience in whatever you want to do, it kind of depends on what you're going for. If you're trying to do a clinical degree, like a PsyD, or if you're trying to get a PhD, you know, in social psych or something, and if you don't have any relevant experience in that area, then I think it can really behoove you to go and get work in that area. And that really shows that, you know, you're actually dedicated to this and you're going to stick with it and go through it. But I know in my program, there's a lot of people who just came right out from undergrad and straight in. So